I finally broke down and had carbohydrates on my carnivore diet. I had fiber as well. Those are two no-nos that you cannot have on carnivore. And if you're not familiar with strict carnivore, it's eggs, meat, seafood, and dairy products. And that is all you're allowed to have. I've also done the keto diet. Really the only difference between keto and carnivore is on keto, you can actually have fiber, but you can't have carbohydrates either. So it's kind of the same as the carnivore diet. Anyway, I finally broke down and had carbohydrates, and I want to talk to you a little bit about what happened, what were the results, and did it like mess up my weight loss? But before we dive deep into that, for those of you who don't know who I am, my name is Tim Ernst. I'm an intermittent keto fasting coach who has personally lost 70 pounds myself in just 7 short months, but I've also coached hundreds of men from all over the world to do the very same thing using my Keto Shed 40 program. If you want more information about that, I'll go ahead and put a link in the description that'll take you to another video that kind of explains a little bit about what I do and how I could potentially help you. All right, so let's get right into this, okay? So I started my journey January 2nd with a 5-day fast, and I dropped 15 pounds right out the gate. Nothing but water, 5 days, okay? Then from there on, I lost an additional 18 pounds. And so I'm down to 199. So I went from 233 to 199. And I, for the past 2 months, haven't had any type of carbohydrates, okay? Now I will confess, there was a couple times where I had some chocolate. I did have some chocolate. I kind of included it in my 1 meal a day. But you know what? It didn't mess up my weight loss at all. So I was totally fine with the chocolate. And then there was a couple times where I had some Boulder chips. I don't know if you've ever seen those. They're at Costco. They only have 3 ingredients: potatoes, salt, and avocado oil. That's the only thing that are actually in those chips. So there was a couple times where I kind of fell into that as well. But again, didn't mess up the results. Now let's get into exactly what type of carbohydrates I actually had yesterday. I didn't have just any type of carbohydrates. Now, before I tell you exactly what kind of carbohydrates I had, this is one of the mistakes that people make when they start on their journey if they're doing a carnivore keto type diet. They start to wonder, like, when do I get to cheat? When do I get to have some carbohydrates? And if you're going into it with that mindset, you've already lost, okay? You want to spend at least, depending on where you are, depending on how overweight you are, you want to spend the next couple months getting fat adapted, okay? You want to get in deep ketosis, get fat adapted first, and get as lean as you possibly can. So now this is going to look different for everybody, okay? So it's all context, okay? I'm 6'1". I was at 233. I'm now in 199. So for me, being in the 190s, I'm getting pretty lean. Now, you may be 5'6", 5'7", and if you're like in the 190s, you're still overweight. So here's what you need to do. You want to get as lean as possible to the point where you're starting to see striations in your shoulders, your chest, you're starting to see your biceps bulging out, and you start losing the belly fat, okay, where you're starting to see a little bit of your abs. No, I'm not saying to get shredded abs. I'm saying where you're starting to actually see it, okay, or just losing the pooch that you have, okay. Get as lean as possible, okay. From there, when you get as lean as possible and you start feeling good, you've got the energy, what you're going to notice is when you do include carbohydrates, your body's going to use it more efficiently. Okay, remember, I've talked a lot about insulin, blood sugars. When you spike that, a lot of people are dealing with insulin resistance. You want to become insulin sensitive to the point where when you do have carbohydrates, your body's going to uptake that and shuttle those into the muscle instead of storing it as fat, because insulin is a fat storing hormone, okay? But insulin can be a good thing if you use it in a way that's going to shuttle glucose into the muscles, okay? So because I haven't had carbohydrates in 2 months, you can imagine I was totally depleted of glucose, okay? So what was the carbohydrates that I had and what was the fiber that I had? So I didn't eat like pasta, rice, bread. I haven't had that stuff in months, okay? I had a very, I guess you could call it a carbohydrate. I had, Costco sells these cauliflower stir-fried rice. So if you've seen the type of rice that they sell at like, at Asian restaurants, it's like the rice, it's got like the corn, I think the peas, the onions, and they kind of put a little egg in there and they mix it up. That's typically what the Asian rice is. But they actually have a cauliflower version at Costco. So I basically had beef tenderloin tips. I had a lot of that cauliflower stir-fry rice. I had scallops, and I had a side salad, okay? If I had to guess, it was probably well over 2,000 calories, and I was full after that. So what happened, okay? I wake up the next morning, I gained about 1 pound. No big deal, okay? Because you gotta remember, fiber, especially salad, and those carbohydrates from the cauliflower rice, you're gonna hold a little bit of water. So it's not like I gained fat, okay? So those are the results that I got from getting carbohydrates into my diet. Now, like I said, you wanna get fat adapted first. You don't wanna be, I'm gonna cheat once a week right out the gate and all this kind of stuff. You really need to get fat adapted first. Spend the next couple months getting healthy. If you watched my video yesterday, the biggest mistake people make is you're like, I wanna lose weight so I can get healthy. No, get healthy first and then the byproduct will be weight loss. Now, here's what I noticed about my performance in the gym when I included this fiber and carbohydrates. My muscles got fuller. I don't know if you can tell, but when I was working out, I noticed my muscles were really filling out really nicely. And you gotta remember, when you get really lean and you don't have any type of carbohydrates, when you deplete your body of glucose and glycogen, your muscles are gonna look flat. They're gonna look flat. And the only way to fill out those muscles is you're gonna have to periodically put some carbohydrates back in the diet. But again, you don't wanna start off that way. The main goal is get lean first. That is the main goal. Get as lean as possible where you start, like I said, you start noticing striations in your shoulders, your chest, you're starting to lose the belly fat. You're wearing pants that you haven't worn in years because you've shrunken your waistline. When you get to that point, you're probably pretty fat adapted, and now your body's in a better position to uptake those carbs and shuttle it into the muscle rather than storing it as body fat, okay? So those are my results. My ultimate goal, really, I've been kind of thinking about it. I'm at that 199. I want to get to 190, but I'm thinking maybe 185. I'm probably going to overshoot my goal by 5 to 10 pounds, which actually is a good strategy you may want to do. If you have a goal in mind of a certain weight where you look your best, I would overshoot it by 10 pounds because there's 365 days in the year. There's gonna be times where you go off your plan, maybe it's a birthday, anniversary, vacation, holidays. You wanna give yourself a little bit of wiggle room so when you do gain, if you gain 5 to 10 pounds, you're still gonna look great, all right? So I would recommend overshooting your goal by 5 to 10 pounds. So now, from here on out, I'm actually gonna buckle down. I'm not gonna have any chocolate. I'm not gonna have the Boulders chips, even though they're healthier than any potato chip I've ever seen. 3 ingredients. Have you looked at the back of your chips lately? Well, you shouldn't be eating chips, but if you have, ton of ingredients. These, potatoes, salt, and avocado oil, actually pretty good. So I'm gonna back off on the chocolate, back off on the chips, and then we're gonna really keep it strict because this is where things get hard. I've noticed something about myself. I noticed that the closer I get to my goal, I become a little bit more flexible with my diet. And I started thinking, I'm like, am I self-sabotaging? Here I am only 9 pounds away from my goal. I should have hit it by now, but because I've had some chocolate and some chips, I haven't gained weight, but I've been like plateauing. And I just want to be real with you. Like, I'm not perfect. I make mistakes on my diet. I have cravings just like the next person. But I think this may be what happens to a lot of people is that they start to self-sabotage as they get closer to their goal because they're like, well, man, I lost 30 pounds. Like, I can kind of relax a little bit. And before you know it, you have a little cheat here and there. The next day you have a little bit more, then a little bit more. And then you start to realize you're totally going in the opposite direction. Just remember, I want you to remember this. Every decision you make, I want you to think in your mind, is this bringing me closer to my goal or further away. And if you can do that, each time you go into a situation, you're probably gonna end up much better off, okay? So I wanted to make this video kind of just sharing with you what my results were, having the carbohydrates and the fiber on my carnivore diet. And if you like the video, make sure to like the video, make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell so you don't miss any future episodes. And with that, I'll see you next time.